Sahana bhavatu, Sahano bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahe, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chapter 8 of the Gita. This is the first week of what's called Aksharam Brahma Yoga. Akshara means imperishable, Brahman. The 8th chapter starts by addressing chapter 7's last 2 verses. Krishna introduced 6 new terms. The first one was Brahman, repeat, Brahman, Karma, Adhyatman. Adhyatman is Sandhi. If we break it down, we had Adhi Atman. We have Adhi Bhutam, Adhi Ajnam, and Adhi Daivam. The other question that Arjuna has is how to remember Bhagavan at the time of death. And what is the significance of doing so? Because even if a person is sick, you will notice that the last thought that your mind goes to, even ordinary sickness, is Bhagavan. It is mainly focused on the sickness itself, the body's pain, or usually what happens is emotions start to flood in these last moments of life. And because of these emotions having certain associations to our life, they start to provide memories associated with those emotions. Memories of our childhood, of discussions, of spouse, of family, and they start to become dominant thoughts at the time of death. So therefore, because I'm thinking of my family and past memories, that is exactly what I incarnate to next life. So therefore, the significance of remembering Bhagavan at the time of death is crucial. And Krishna also utilizes Arjuna's curiosity to explain and provide answers to these 7 questions, but also to introduce a new kind of sadhana, which is called Upasana sadhana. To give you some reference point, Upasana is called Saguna Ishvara Dhyanam. So what this means is, Dhyanam, you know, meditation. So meditating on Ishvara with attributes. Now, the basis of the sadhana between chapter 2 and 6 was Karma Yoga. The basis of sadhana between 7 and 12 is Upasana. So this is another type of practice, another type of sadhana to perform. Before we were looking at the world by offering our results to Ishvara. So it's a very active approach. Now we are merely meditating on Ishvara with attributes. There's less action, it's more mature. Okay? So before, a lot of action. Now, not so much action. Arjuna starts to ask questions pertaining to the last 2 verses. Arjuna uvacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidaivam kim uchyate. First verse, Arjuna asks questions which pertain to verse 29 and 30 of chapter 7. Remember, he asked these questions in chapter 7. Question 1, he says, Tad Brahma Kim? What do you mean by Brahman? Question 2, Kim Adhyatmam? What is the meaning of Adhi Atma? Question 3, Kim Karma? What is the significance of the word karma in everyday life? Question 4, Adhibhutam Kim Proktam? Do explain Adhibhutam. Question 5, Purushottama Adhidaivam Kim Uchyate. O Krishna, best of Purushas, answer what is Adhidaivam? Best of Purushas, best of men. Arjuna asked, what is Brahman? What is Adhyatmam? What is Karma? What is said to be Adhibhutam? What is said to be Adhidaiva, O Krishna? Adhiyajnah katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale chakatham nyeyosi niyatatmabhihi. Question 6. Adhiyajnaha kaha. Who or what is Adhiyajnaha? And then Arjuna asks the second question. He says, and how does this Adhiyajnaha reside in the body? So this obviously implies that Arjuna must have heard this term elsewhere, because we haven't seen this word anywhere else. Question 7 has 2 parts. The first one is, what is the significance of remembering God at the time of death? And the second is, how to remember God at the time of death. Because remembering God is even hard during meditation. Did you notice that? We sit down for meditation. What's the first thought? Ishvara or yesterday? Yeah. And that is when we're healthy. Now imagine when all this emotional baggage comes on. How are we supposed to remember? Is there a technique for that? So Arjuna wants to know if there is a technique. And if there is, please say so, because it is important. And how is Bhagavan to be remembered by what's called Niyatatma Bhihi? How is Bhagavan to be remembered by those who are committed, integrated, holistic, disciplined, self-controlled people? See, Arjuna doesn't even ask, how is Bhagavan to be remembered by Sakama Bhaktas? He's asking, how is God to be remembered by those who are already self-disciplined? And finally, Madhu Sudana. This word has a symbolic meaning. First of all, it means destroyer of Madhu. Madhu means philosophically anything that's, or what symbolizes all of the karma. Sanchita, prarabdha, agami karma. So Madhusudana, he's calling Krishna Madhusudana, means destroyer of all sanchita, all prarabdha, all agami karma. Now, if you destroy that, what are we talking about? That's moksha. Because moksha is that which destroys these karmas. In other words, Krishna is the one. Remember, Krishna means it's a symbolism for Ishvara, self-knowledge, is the one who gives moksha. So Arjuna is calling Krishna that one who gives moksha, destroyer of all karma. Also in Mandukya Upanishad, karma palam, that means the fruits of actions. Whose actions? Your actions. What kind of actions? Any actions that you put out into the field. The fruits of that is equated to Madhu. So in other words, Madhu is a destroyer of karma, leading to moksha. Now the next verse, Krishna addresses each one of these questions. So the questioning is over. Now we begin the answering. Who is Adhiyajnaha? How does Adhiyajnaha remain here in the body? And how are you to be remembered at the time of death by the self-disciplined ones? O Madhusudana. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavodhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaraha Visargah Karma Sanjnitaha. Question 1. What is Brahman? And then Krishna says, Paramam Aksharam Brahma. Supreme imperishable truth is Brahman. The word Aksharam means imperishable. It cannot be created nor destroyed. It cannot be expanded nor contracted. it abides eternally as itself. It is always as itself. There's never anything onto it, because it embodies everything. It includes everything. It doesn't exclude anything. So it remains eternally as its very self. It's the changeless substratum, like the wall. Now when I say the wall, this is called tatastha lakshana, implied meaning. Am I actually calling Brahman the wall?
No.
But why am I comparing the wall to the changeless substratum? Why are we doing that? Because that's called implied meaning. I'm not calling directly.
Yeah, because you can't explain it. You can't really say what it is. So it's like you're implying it through these other analogies that we've used, like the movie screen on the movie on the screen. And the,
Good. Okay. So most of Vedanta works through implied meaning, because we cannot describe awareness. We're only using metaphors, analogies, and examples. Now we have to take a precaution here, because aksharam could be taken as imperishable matter. Because remember, matter is also imperishable. Law of conservation of energy. Nothing ever gets destroyed. So therefore, Krishna precedes the word aksharam with paramam. The greatest imperishable principle is Brahman. Also in Mandyuka Upanishad, Brahman is equated to the word aksharam. In other words, it's not just in the Gītā, but it's also in the Upanishad. So there's a nice connecting link there. So this aksharam is that which is imperishable. It's called chaitanya tattvam, consciousness principle. So we'll discuss further aksharam. It cannot be relating to matter. Why is aksharam not connected or relating to matter? The substance which the scientists look at.
it changes form.
Okay, but what if we get to the smallest particle, like a boson or a subatomic particle? See, we only say changing on the aspect of form that our eyes can perceive. But what if we look at the smallest particle, like a quark? That doesn't change. That just is in its form. Okay, matter perishes in terms of manifest, unmanifest. It doesn't have to change. But it still perishes in terms of it arises and it goes back into. Out of what? What does it arise out of? That means there's something preceding it. What does it go back into? That means there's something in which it goes into. Therefore, the fact that it arises or dissolves also in itself is perishable. Therefore, aksharam cannot be referring to that which manifests and unmanifests. Because to say manifests and unmanifest implies changeless substratum, which is paramam aksharam, the greatest imperishable. So this manifest and unmanifest that we're speaking of, it depends on reality into or out of which it arises and into which it dissolves. It doesn't matter if matter doesn't change. The fact is, it comes and it goes. That is still qualified for changing. Also, aksharam cannot be referring to time.
No, because aksharam, that's constant. So time refers to a change of state or some sort of movement.
Yeah,
Tell me this.
Whereas that's constant.
Is time different for a child and an adult? It is. It is.
Time is on a watch.
When you were a kid, a whole day was like so long.
Yeah.
Now it's like that.
Yes, correct.
And it depends on if we like our hobbies. If we like our hobbies, time goes very quickly. If we don't like our hobbies, time is so slow. What about if you're in coma or faint? Does time suddenly cease? Yeah, where's time then? Because we can go in a coma, you wake up out of the anesthetic, you go, have you began the operation? Yes, we have done 8 hours of operation. No, I don't believe you. In other words, time disappeared. So aksharam cannot be referring to time because time in every aspect is different. It's relative for everyone. or even dream time. They say that a person dreams for about 1.5 minutes, REM, rapid eye movement. And in the dream, sometimes it feels like it's a long time. But in this waking state, that long time is only 1.5 minutes. Totally relative of the 3 states of what age we're in and how we feel based on the mood. There is no way that Aksharam can be referring to time in that aspect. We'll summarize. Aksharam means imperishable. This imperishable, in chapter 7 language, we call para prakriti, or chaitanya tattvam, which means consciousness principle. And kshara, remember you put the word a, aksharam, kshara. Akshara, kshara. So the kshara, which means perishable, is what? According to chapter 7 language, apara prakriti. Now the second definition of aksharam, there's a second interpretation, is it refers to any alphabetical letter. Okay, because akshara in Sanskrit means alphabetical letter. So, for example, take the letter M. Okay, this is always ma. Okay, just like that. Ma. It's never going to be ba or ta or fa or ya or ra or la. What happens now if you put these together? Then we call this akshara mala. Mala means garland. When you put these characters together, for example, ma, la, so this means garland. So when you put unchanging sounds, remember I said ma is never going to be different, la is never going to be different, it's always ma or la. When you put them together, we create words. These words have meanings, have interpretations, have something that you can work with. So the letter or the sound never changes, but the words are changing. So out of these words, we create a world. Remember, wherever there is a world, there is a word. Because what is the world? Nothing but nama rupa, name and form. So therefore, word and world are non-separate. So this means what? The world or the word, which we speak of all day long, including these words coming out of the mouth, is nothing but made of that which is unchanging. In this case, the akshara, the single alphabetical letter. That's what akshara means, single alphabetical letter. However, even the sound of ma, is that truly imperishable? Is that paramam akshara?
No.
Why?
Because it's got a beginning and an end.
Good. And what happens when it arises? What do we call that? Manifests. And when it ends, we call that unmanifests. Into what? That's the next question.
Silence.
Excellent. 10 out of 10. In other words, we cancel akshara, no longer paramam. What is now paramam akshara? Silence into which the word dissolves and out of which the word arises. Therefore, the truly imperishable is silence. So then, do you understand now why we compare Brahman to silence? Am I now calling Brahman silence, or is this an implied meaning? Implied meaning. In other words, Brahman is that out of which the world arises and dissolves into. Also in the Indian ceremony, we have what's called Akshara Abhyasa. Do you know?
Yes.
This is when, to initiate a child into reading and writing, they will write Om on the tongue. Now, what do you think this is? Om. Remember, Om means the 3 states: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. What do you think is the symbolism behind this? Okay. What is the tongue doing all day long? Speaking. Okay. So, if I write Om, what does that imply? Okay, be truthful. Don't forget that education is not only for getting a career, because we speak what? Career words. we seek for the job. All day long we speak in transactions. Don't forget that reading and writing is not just for getting a transactional world going, but it is mostly for what's called Aksharam Brahma, speaking and knowing the truth. So see the symbolism? Yeah. We don't have this in the West. We just push you into school and
Paravidya.
Yeah.
Paravidya, aparavidya.
Yeah, exactly. Next topic. The word Brahman comes from the Sanskrit root and it means big. That's it, just big. How big?
Limitless.
Yeah, unconditionally. There's no conditions that can limit that which is big, Brahman. Infinitely big. Bhratwad Brahma. In other words, all-pervasive big. Not only big, but also it pervades because it's all there is. Nothing can go outside it. It embodies and includes everything. Big. So therefore, what is Brahman? Limitless, all-pervading consciousness. Now notice also that Krishna doesn't say much about Brahman here. Do you know why? Because all he says is just Param Aksharam. That's it. It's such a big topic, but he just uses 2 words. Why is that? Why do you think so? In chapter 7, what do we speak of? Paraprakriti, consciousness. So therefore there's not much to say. We spoke about consciousness all the time in chapter 7. So now we're just revising. Okay, now question 2. We're done with what is Brahman. Now you should put in paper or the head. Question 2, what is Atma or Adhyatma? And then Krishna says, Swabhavaha Adhyatmam Uchyate. So if Akshara Brahman, if limitless, all-pervading consciousness, Brahman, is all-pervading, then it should also be available all the time in the jiva's own body and mind. Whose body? Whose mind? The body-mind that is now talking, that is listening, in everyone's mind. Your mind, your body. See, the word ati, you notice I always say ati, means just simply corresponding to. So that which corresponds to Atma. So ati Atma refers to that which is self-evident. That's what the word swabhavaha means. Self-evident nature. What is self-evident? In your experience, what is self-evident?
I've always been here.
Okay. I've always been here.
I always exist.
Yeah.
I exist.
Yeah. It's simple. There's not much we can say there. It's just I exist. I am conscious of my aliveness, of my sentiency. Now, never mind aliveness or sentiency. The fact is, I am conscious of my aliveness and sentiency. So the aliveness and sentiency is validated by the fact that I am conscious. I effortlessly, awarefully am. When you say I am, do you have to try to am? You always are, effortlessly. Did you notice that everything in life we have to apply effort to gain something? But what is the only principle which we have no need to apply effort? Being, amness. I am, I exist. I don't need to do anything to know that I am. That is self-evident. Therefore, ati atma. And also, we're not talking about your states of minds, because we often think, oh, okay, I'm awareful of my loftiness, of my sense of expansiveness, or my sense of liberation, or my sense of peace. Are we talking about that? No. Why not?
Why not? That changes.
That's objectifying.
Yeah, because it comes and goes. Also, what happens is when a person suddenly fully assimilates the knowledge, then they suddenly say, wow, I've got this. I'm now liberated. But that feeling, often we mistake for liberation, and that feeling goes, therefore my idea that I'm liberated also goes. So never forget, the feeling comes and goes, but the understanding stays. Just like if we understand that the car When you finally like, oh, I know how to drive a car. I finally got my license, right? I can now drive. There's a good feeling about that. But when that feeling goes, does your knowledge how to drive go? No, it stays. Therefore, moksha is the same. The feeling of, wow, I got this, that comes, but it also goes. But the understanding, that never goes. Therefore, ignore the feeling. It is just another feeling produced by the body-mind. Understanding is all that counts. Now, what is the difference between Brahman and Atman, or Brahman and Atman?
No, the Atman is within the self, and Brahman is without.
Yeah. Well, both. Well, there's only one self, because Atman is the one self of Ishvara. See, Ishvara is the one self of all individuals. Okay, I'll ask again.
Micro and macro.
Okay, good. Okay, that's the closest. One same consciousness are both Brahman and Atman. Firstly, we establish that. One same consciousness. From the angle of Vyashti, which means microcosmic, which is not only your body, your mind, but for all bodies and minds. From that angle, we call it Atman, Atyatman.
Water and a wave.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. We also call it Jivatma. Why? Because the essence of the Jiva is Atman. Or Atman is the essence of the Jiva. Therefore, Jivatman. And from Samashti, the macrocosmic, that means the total, which doesn't exclude anything, that same one consciousness is called Brahman. Why then, if they're the one same consciousness, why do we have two different words? It's kind of a hassle to remember two words if it's one same consciousness. Why? What's the reason for that? Depending on the order of reality, the name changes. For example, a general person called Purusha, when this one person transacts with the children, this one person becomes parent. When this one Purusha is conducting business, or it's not conducting business, but just engaging with wife or husband, then this person gains husband or wife. So one Purusha, depending on the order of reality to which they're dealing with, they change names. Summary, depending on the reference point from which we are speaking, the name changes correspondingly. So from now on, we shouldn't be confused about why so many words. We should just simply understand, depending on from what context I use it, the name will change. But it's still referring to the same thing. Question 3, what is karma? We've done Brahman, we've done Atman. What is karma? All ears open, because this is a big topic. Karma is not just some single word, there's a big principle to it. Krishna is going to answer this in the entire second line. Bhuta bhavod bhavakaraha visargaha karma sanjnitaha. So the entire second line. Okay, first of all, visargaha refers to lower. So anything that is sakama bhakti is visargaha. That means anything that is devoting to God for material reasons, for my own ends, is what visargaha is referring to. So visargaha also refers to all preformed actions or activities of a human being. All of it. But sakama bhakti only. Absolutely all activities performed by a human being for the sake of gaining something for myself is visargaha. What defines an action of today? What defines an action, your action of today? Why are you doing what you're doing today?
Survival. Survival of the body.
Any more ideas?
Because of what you did before that.
Excellent. Why do I do the actions that I do today? Because of the actions that I did yesterday. From the point of view of yesterday, I will ask you the same question, you have to say the same answer. The actions of yesterday, the texture, the quality, whatever term you want to put onto it, that will determine what actions I do today. So is your life smooth today? If the answer is no, that's because I did correspondingly unsmooth actions yesterday. If my life is smooth today, it means what? I did correspondingly smooth actions which brought corresponding results today. So the life of today is defined by, influenced by, or modified by things of yesterday. That's karma. So in other words, our life is dictated by yesterday. In other words, today's actions modify tomorrow's future. So what kind of future am I going to get tomorrow? The answer is simple. The kind of actions I do today. That is karma. Common sense. Can anyone disagree with this so far, based on your experience? Are we stating anything that you cannot validate for yourself?
In fact, even further, it's the actions that you do right now.
Yeah. Are going to then cause me to think about what I did today, tomorrow. Okay, so karma is simply an expression of life that we all undergo, but we fail to analyze because we just don't have time. All karma is saying is that everything is connected. Yesterday, present, and tomorrow are all connected based on the actions that I put out into the field. Again, I'll ask, what is karma? Any activity produced by a human being which is responsible for his or her future tomorrow. Any activity produced by yourself, that activity is responsible for the actions or the results that you will either enjoy or suffer tomorrow. So therefore, nothing is scripted in this world. We often think the world is scripted for me, so therefore I just play back what is already written in stone and I just go through that. Not at all. Whatever I undergo in life is a result of, at some point, it was connected to something I did yesterday. Whether I know about it or not, that doesn't matter, but there is a connection.
Well, that's how free will modifies karma.
That's right. So free will and karma, they're literally inseparable. Free will constantly modifies karma, and the results that I get causes me to apply my free will again, and the actions that I apply will then modify the future tomorrow, and then tomorrow I will have to deal with that using my free will again, and then that will create another consequence which I will then enjoy or suffer the next day, and so on. So another way to put this is simple statement. My life is my life, talking about your life, everyone's life. My life is my life because of the actions. Actions are what? Karta, doer, that I'm doing today, which are creating a tomorrow. That means the actions I'm putting out on a daily basis, not just once, on a daily basis. So my life is my life because of the actions that I put out on a daily basis is karma. So now you ask yourself, what is my life? What's your answer?
Right now.
Karma. That's it. Simple answer. What is my life made of? Karma. Why? Because karma is my life is my life because of the actions that I put out on a daily basis, or the actions I put out where? Into the field on a daily basis. Therefore, I get to enjoy or suffer the results. That's karma. So every action that we put out today requires a tomorrow. Why? Why does every action you put out today require a tomorrow?
Cause and effect.
Okay. So that we can enjoy or suffer, which is bhokta, the results, the consequences that we have put out through our actions, karta, yesterday. Karta, bhokta, inseparable. Wherever there's a doer, karta, there is an experiencer, a bhokta, of what that doer has done when? Yesterday.
So the thing that troubles me about that is we have the other teaching, you are not the doer. So it's a refined understanding between taking responsibility for everything we do.
Yeah.
And then inherent in the teaching is you are not the doer. At another level, I mean, I'm not asking you to get into that now, but what I'm just struggling with is I have that issue of, well, hang on, who's doing this? I thought I was, and then we have another teaching.
So what you're saying, that's true. We have to understand karma at all levels. Just to say you're not a doer is not good enough. Okay, so that is true at the level of Atman, of the self.
That I'm the doer, that I'm.
At the level of the person, who is applying responsibility in their life, or maybe you could call it a level down to earth level, there is karma. Because if I just now say you're not a doer, what's the problem with that? We use that as an excuse. It's okay, everything is pre-scripted. I can now rest, my destiny is already written, I don't have to do anything.
And also, that definition of doer is a bit vague in that context, because doer, what you really mean by actually being a doer is the initiator, by actually manifesting the expression. What happens after that, the doings that go on after that, is not you. That's just out. And Ishvara will take care of that.
Good.
You can't do that. You can't be the doer at that point.
Good. Now, what Martin is also saying is, every time I put out an action, you put out an action into the field, what do? You modify the field. Just like dropping a little stone in the ripple. Instantly you create what? Ripples in the river. And those ripples are going to what? Touch other ripples. They're going to now mix with the field. So the field means the entire world that we live in. So every action we put out modifies the field, and the field then gives us back those corresponding actions of our modifications.
So the stone would have initiated the ripples, but it cannot have any prediction or control over what happens on the doing of those ripples as
because
they
another wave can respond positively to that.
The wind can affect it, the echoes can affect it, the current can affect it. Yeah. It's completely out of field.
Yeah. That's why it's not so direct. There's a dynamic about it. To enjoy or suffer the consequences of our actions requires us a tomorrow. Just like whatever we sow, we reap. That's why we need a tomorrow. Because you need to experience what you did today. Ishvara is obligated to provide us a field to give us feedback based on our actions. Whatever I sow, I reap. Or I have to continue reaping what I have sown. Did you ever notice there's no abrupt break anywhere? There's a continuity to everything. So it's not like I suddenly rob a bank and the police, they just don't do anything. There's going to be a continuity to that. There's going to be investigation. It's automatic. I can't stop it. Why? Because the laws and orders are already set up for it to be like that. And I can't escape that. So therefore, whatever I sow, whatever I plant, whether with papam or punya karma, dharmic or adharmic actions, I then have to reap in accordance with the kind of actions that I put. I said, in order to enjoy or suffer the results of my actions, I need a world. Because the world is that which I can reap from. So this world or creation, you agree, world and creation are one. They're not separate. So this creation is beginningless. Because remember, yesterday, there's no ending to yesterday. Today's actions or results are a result of yesterday. If I go yesterday, I ask the same question. What is today a result of? Actions of yesterday. If I go yesterday, what is today a result of? Actions of yesterday. So this world or creation is a beginningless cause and effect, as Martin said. And this cause and effect is called karma. So whenever you want to think of karma, what comes to mind? Cause and effect. Therefore, cause and effect and karma, they're not apart. What is cause and effect? I saw a drawing. A man pushes like a monolith, and then one monolith falls on top of the other, like a deck of cards, and he's just like enjoying. I don't have to worry about this, And then 1 year later, the last monolith falls on him. That's karma. So in other words, cause, I'm the cause. And the effect, the field, I put out what? Actions into the field, and it comes back to me. This is a law of nature. Means what? Creation is not an accident. This creation that we have, it's not an accident. It didn't just come out of nowhere. For example, you and I are born on Earth with specific parents at a certain country. Is that an accident? In other words, our life perfectly matches our past individual karma. Perfectly matches. So now do you understand what it means to say all is perfect? When we say, you probably heard all is perfect, how can you say that to World War II or World War I or, torture and rape and all this? How can you say that? They're not referring to the content of what happens. What are they referring to when you say all is perfect? Everything is exactly in accordance with its cause. Every effect is only a result of a preceding cause. In that aspect, everything is perfect. So in other words, the world is exactly in the condition that it deserves to be based on yesterday. The world right now is what? An effect of what? A cause. In that aspect, everything is perfect.
To try and work it out.
You can't. It's mental projection.
But that's the temptation if you get this teaching. You go, hang on a minute, I know what happens. And so then you're bound into a kind of an egoic thing of trying to sort this all out.
Well, that's when you become a vigilante.
Yeah. See, the thing is, we don't even remember what I said 2 classes ago, do we?
No.
Then how are we supposed to remember what happened 50, 20, 10, 5 years ago? No way.
And then talk about other people's karma.
Yeah, that's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
I mean, just understand this. Law of karma is operating. Whatever we get today is a result of the continuity. We're simply reaping the results which we have sown at some time, whether I remember them or not. So therefore to say, what did I do to deserve this? That is no excuse. The point is something was done. So the point is not to take it personally. Because when we start to take it personally, then we can then get trapped to work it out. Let it go. Okay, let's move on. So Krishna now says, he answers, what is karma? And then Krishna says, Bhuta bhavod bhava karaha. Karma is the principle which brings existence to all living beings. Principle which brings existence of or to all living beings. Even a bee enjoys a bee body because of karma. So therefore, karma determines the kind of creation that is created or supplied for each vyashti object. What is vyashti? Microcosmic. So karma determines what kind of creation a little bee gets, what kind of creation a human being gets, based on their individual karma. Now, many vyashtis, many microcosmic objects make up what? The total samashti. Many microcosmic make up the one macrocosmic. So therefore, the total universe that is right now the case is made up of what? The total samashti is made up of all of the vyashtis. And all of the vyashtis have an individual karma. An individual karma gives us an individual world to experience our results. So therefore, since they all make up the macrocosmic, what does that mean? Today's creation is a result of combined karma of all of the past vyashti objects, all the karmas of the past. So present creation is a result of the past creation. The present universe that we all experience now is a result of the past universe. It's simple as that. Why? Because I said, many microcosmic make up the one macrocosmic. And since every microcosmic has an individual karma, and all of those individual karmas put together, we have the one total universe. So therefore, the one total universe that we experience today is nothing but a continuity of the previous creation. And that also means the present creation is going to give way to the future creation. So therefore, creation also has no beginning nor end. The universe, and I'm not talking about just the bhuloka, the earth. I'm talking about all the unseen and the unseen creations. Whether we can see them with a telescope, it doesn't matter. This means what? Creation didn't come because of Ishvara. Oh, what do you mean by that? I thought Ishvara created. It didn't come because of Ishvara. In other words, God did not create anything. He didn't desire creation. He didn't wish creation. He didn't want creation to be. God has nothing to do with this creation. I'll explain because I know you're asking. Ishvara is Sarvam Dhyanam Sarvam Shakti. What does this mean? All knowledge, all power. Limited knowledge? No. because it's all knowledge. So that means nothing is excluded. It has knowledge of everything, power of everything, unlimited power. So what does this mean? Presence of Ishvara equals presence of Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti. Okay? Wherever there is Ishvara, there is what? All knowledge, all power. Clear? Okay. Now, objection. If God didn't create, nor desire, nor wish, nor instigate the creation, then why is there creation? Why do we have creation then? Because I said the statement, Ishvara has nothing to do with this creation. So now I'm asking, why is there creation if Ishvara had nothing to do with it? Go back to karma.
Exist karma.
There's no beginning.
Is creation or the possibility of creation excluded from this term? All knowledge, all power. Nothing is not possible. That's what limitless means. All knowledge, all power. Is creation excluded from all knowledge, all power?
No.
No. Why not?
Because all knowledge, all power.
Yeah. If creation is not possible, does Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti still qualify?
No.
Why not?
Because it's limited to not having creation.
Yeah, did you hear that? It's limited to not being able to create creation. It's limited to not allowing itself to create. Because it's all knowledge, all power. Therefore, nothing can not be created. Everything's possible. Clear so far? Okay. Simple example. Imagine a woman and she has power and knowledge to sing. And she sings. What happens? In order for her to sing, she has to be provided a field for singing to take place. She needs to be provided a world for singing to take place. A world of what? A world where singing can be expressed. In other words, not only is she going to receive a world where singing can take place, but because it is Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti, what does that mean? I'm also going to put a lot of different varieties of creations. I'm not going to just create a bland hall, because that's not an expression of Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti. I'm going to what? Create people, trees, hall, sound. And I'm going to create also people. Why?
Yes.
To enjoy and give applause to the woman. Now, when she does sing, and a man is smitten by her singing, he does what? He approaches the woman, and then he asks her to marry, and then they have children. What happens next? A field is provided to continue supplying them that which implies marriage. I have to now create a field called children, which children can play, a house. So in other words, all the woman wanted to do is sing. And now she's gotten children. Why? Because of Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti. If Sarvam Jnana and Sarvam Shakti was called limited knowledge and power, in that case, all I have to do is provide you a room. But that's not going to happen. Why? Because it is all knowledge, all power. Therefore, I also provide you the beautiful, the decorations, the music, and also give you other people which can enjoy your music and show you how beautiful you are in your expression. But the woman's intention wasn't to marry, but because she innocently found herself in that place, a man innocently found himself in that place, he just liked her, he couldn't help it. He came up to her, he married her, he had children, and now what? Is she going to go back into is she going to dissolve back into whence she came? No, why not? Because a whole field is already created for her to experience a life of children. In other words, only to Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti, a world is created, and when it's created, it has no ending. In other words, it was never created in the first place. It always was. Why? Because Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti has no beginning. So why is there creation? in
because
order.
It's possible.
Huh?
Because it's possible.
Yeah.
It's one of the possibilities of limitless.
Yeah. If I'm just like conscious and aware, full, limitless, okay, beautiful. But because all knowledge, all power, it does not exclude the possibility to experience that limitlessness in limited form. Therefore, creation is. So, summary of karma. Why is there a necessity for creation? Because I asked for it. Why is there a house? Why do you have a house? Because you asked for it. How do we get things in our life? How is our life made? By asking for things. How? Through our actions. So therefore, our life today is nothing but a result of the things we are asking constantly today. And tomorrow is a reflection of the things I've asked today. In other words, the mixture of punyam and papam actions that I put out, that will determine the kind of field that is created for me, and the kind of field tomorrow that is created for me, I will either suffer or I will enjoy, depending on how much papam or how much punyam I have put into an action of the present moment. So our life is what today? Nothing but the kinds of actions that we're putting out right now, right now, right now, right now. All our life is right now. So what kind of creation do we then get? The answer is whichever suits the mixture of punyam and papam that we put out on a daily basis. And owing to the various combinations of this mixture, because there's a lot of punyam, a little bit of papam, a lot of papam, a little bit of punyam, endless combinations. Owing to the infinite mixture of actions, we have, in the Vedas, 14 lokas. You heard of that? Not because Ishvara wants to create, I want 14 lokas. But because these lokas, one of the lokas is earth, to suit the combination, the mixture of punyam and papam. For example, a lots of papam equals hellish loka. You know, we have in different texts, you know, hell, like very dark, different from earth, of course. Lots of punyam, we have swarga, we have brahma loka, we have vaikuntha, we have heaven, and so on. Mixture of punya and papa, do you know what you get? Manushya loka, this loka. So in other words, whoever is on earth has a combination of papam and punyam. So in other words, every world is created to suit the kinds of papam or punyam mixture that we have put out yesterday. That's exactly the kind of creation that we get today. So in other words, God does not create for his sake. He does not plan, I'm going to create 14 lokas, you know, and all that. He doesn't do that. He simply is that which is all knowledge, all power, and based on the karmas, the mixture of punyam and papam, that mixture demands a certain loka, and that loka gets created in order to exhaust those karmas. It's simple as that. In other words, all lokas are designed to accommodate the karma of the individual's actions. For example, earth here is designed for us to exhaust our combinations of punya and papam so that we can move on spiritually in life. And this karma is a byproduct of all knowledge, all power. Only to all knowledge, all power, a woman gets created, for example, and then she puts out actions into the field, and those actions then demand results. See, she can't help a man not being smitten. A man's going to get smitten one way or the other. Now, why is there a man if it's just a woman? Why is there a man? Why did creation put a man also? Because it doesn't exclude the possibility of sarvam dhyanam sarvam shakti. So it's not as simple as just creating one single object, go now and experience Brahman, you know, in a limited manner. It's not like that. Because it is all knowledge, all power. Thus we have what kind of world? A very unique, special, very complex world. Because it is all knowledge, all power. There's so much to know. Just look at any object, like a piece of hair. you just investigated so much to see in that one single hair. And did you also notice that all of the knowledge and all power, or at least all knowledge that we get, is out of what? Nature. So all of the knowledge that we derived and all of the books that we have comes from what? Observation of what is already provided. We don't create anything. We simply observe nature, nature's laws, and then we write books about it. And we say, here's a beautiful library of knowledge. How did all that come? Because of Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti, which the person has observed, and then to explain it, wrote books about it. Therefore, Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti was already there, was already present. We simply write about it in different manner, in different forms. This is also why there is logic and order in the universe. The sun always rises in the east, goes in the west. There's 4 seasons, one follows the other. Why? Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti. Not limited knowledge, limited power, but unlimited. That's why everything is intelligent. That's why we have gravity. Gravity always pulls things down. Nothing's random. Everything follows a cycle in the universe. Why? Sarvam Jnanam, Sarvam Shakti. Everything is beautifully coordinated on the basis of all knowledge, all power. That's why we have the universe that we have today. Karma is defined as, you want to write this down, Srishti Karanam. Srishti Karanam, cause of creation. Why is creation created? Because of karma. Next question. What is the reason for Jiva's rebirth?
Yeah, and the body decays. The material body can only have a certain amount of life.
That's exactly what it is. In other words, remember, whatever I sow, I have to reap. Now, if I keep reaping and this instrument expires, it goes old, it can no longer function, it can no longer be conducive for causing me to keep reaping what I'm sowing, then I simply have to get a new, fresh body. Otherwise, an old body is useless. It cannot continue what it's sown. So therefore, the body dies to continue sowing last life's reaping. Ishvara so kindly offers me a new body. Because the old body has gone old, now I get a new, fresh body so I can continue unfinished business. That's why we have a new body. So we are all here today. Yeah, we have unfinished business. Okay, that's the only reason. We have not finished our business from last life. So for that reason, hello again.
Is it the subtle body that's continuing?
Yeah, in the Upanishads, it depends. Generally, subtle body will survive, but also some Upanishads say it doesn't survive. What survives is Karana Sharira, the causal body, and that simply produces a new Sukshma Sharira. Yeah, it doesn't really matter which way we look at it. The point is, Karana Sharira is made up of what? Samskaras, or vasanas, or karmas, and that, to continue exhausting itself, it has to give me a suitable or a correlative Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, and that gives me a correlative physical or Sthula Sharira. For example, if my vasana is to eat a lot, then for that reason, I have to get a certain kind of body. Like you know how babies are different, right? You don't get, why are people different in the first place? So our facial features, our body functions, our body form is simply a symbol of individual Karana Sharira. That's all it is. That's why we have different faces everywhere. Because it represents our samskaras from where? Past life. Previous unfinished business. And only moksha can break this cycle of finding yourself in a limited world, enveloped by the 5 sheets all over again. That is the reason why the Bhagavad Gita teaching is taking place, to break this constant continuity of coming back and, mama, and watching TV and undergoing teeth drilling and being bullied in school and having to work all over again, find a job, get sick, and all this stuff, right? So eventually a person gets tired of all this, so they just think of, I want to end this cycle. That's why there's a qualification for Vedanta.
Andre, why don't we remember the past unfinished business?
Because
what's the reason behind it?
Yeah. Well, then, I could... I'll probably show up at my person's neighbor's door, give me my money. We get amnesia, so we can start fresh. Because if I remembered so much, it will be too confusing to navigate the world. I'll have too much memories. A person will go crazy. That's the only reason. The mind's so limited, it cannot function with so many memories operating at the same time. Yeah. So, for a jnani, a wise person, a liberated person, who has broken the cycle, but when their body, minds die, not when they die, they don't actually ever die, then they as though go back to sleep. Why do they go back to sleep? Because in deep sleep, there is no creation. Is there creation in deep sleep? No. So it's non-duality in deep sleep. There is only oneness. As though, I didn't say they go to sleep. I said as though go to sleep, fully aware of themselves as limitless Aksharam, Param Aksharam Brahman, as limitless, infinite Brahman. Whereas a non-jnani, they also as though go to sleep for a while, but then only to karana sharira, sustained by what? Avidya. Then that karana sharira produces another body and they find themselves back into creation. That's the only difference. So jnani has severed this process only to destruction of avidya, only to what? Re-identifying with the I, shifting from that which undergoes prarabdha karma, sanchita karma, agami karma, to that which is the substratum out of which karma arises and into which karma dissolves. And the substratum, we said, is param aksharam, changeless substratum. Therefore, when the person is dissolved back into the changeless, is there any modifications possible from then on? No. Therefore, once moksha, then there is no rebirth. Person is permanently at one with the whole. Even now, you're one with the whole, except only to the body, mind, and the five shariras, the five panchakosha. Then we experience not only ourselves as what? Awareness, paraprakriti, but also as aparaprakriti, which is what accounts for the pains and all of the limitations that we feel. So we want to get rid of these limitations. Also in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, for a yogi, they also experience this limitless for a while. However, even Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when there is only awareness of oneness, is still limited because it is still generated by Maya. It is very subtle though. But the reason why people like to go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which takes years to attain, is because it's just someone described, if you take all the pleasure in the world by every human being, you put it into one grain of sand, and you put this grain of sand on the beach, like trillions of grains of sand, even that doesn't do justice to the fullness that you are. And Nirvikalpa Samadhi is like that, and that's why when they come out of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, they feel depressed because the world is just so ordinary. So this is just a glimpse of our nature. So the blue one, Lord answered, what is limitless and not subject to change is Brahman. The self is said to be Atman. The sacrificial offering which brings about the origin of beings is known as karma. Are we all clear on these three words now? Okay, someone tell me, what is Brahman? In your own words, short and sweet.
Limitless.
Big, limitless.
Consciousness.
Okay, what is Atman? Atman.
Self.
Okay, self. Okay. And what is karma?
Cause of creation.
Action.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. I like that most. Cause, just very simple, short and sweet. Cause and effect. And it's also actions. It depends on which context you're looking at it from. But see, what we did here is we looked at karma from a different angle, because we usually talk about karma as just action. So we're talked here how everything is connected. So in that aspect of that connection, of that tomorrow, future, present, and yesterday, that connection is also karma. Adhibhutam ksharo bhavaha purushashchadhi daivatam adhiyajnoham evatra dehe deha bhritam vara. So, question 4. What is adhibhutam? Then Krishna says, ksharaha bhavaha. Everything perishable in creation is matter, apara prakriti. Anything experienced, witnessed, or known, 5 elements. Someone give me the order.
Space, air, fire, water, earth.
Good. You all remember that order?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the uniqueness about this order?
It goes from subtle to gross.
Good. Anything that periodic, if you're a scientist, then we will say periodic table of elements is adhibhutam. Anything that manifests and unmanifests.
Space has got nothing on the periodic table.
Yeah, but anything that manifests and unmanifests also. See, space is the last thing that manifests and unmanifests. Tell me this, where is space in your dream or deep sleep? Is there space in deep sleep? Because huh? Yeah, but you can only say that now, can you? Can you say that in deep sleep? No. So even space goes into what? Unmanifest in deep sleep. So even that is subject to change. Anyone can dispute that?
I'll work on it.
Okay, yeah.
I'll find an angle.
Attack on angle, right? Good. Body, your mind, constantly changing. You're losing 300 million cells every, I believe, 1 minute, I think. The last time I read. Doesn't matter, you're just losing cells. That's the reason why we look for security, well-being in the body. Why? Why do we do that? Why do we constantly try to make our body good and live longer? What does that imply? I think the body is the self. I think the body is Atman. Therefore, I want to improve myself. What am I improving? The body, mind, intellect. So this mistaken notion of who I am causes me to put tons of makeup on. Or do a lot of exercise, a lot of improvements, a lot of education, professions, career, constantly chasing for betterment, expansion. Because I believe I'm either the body or the intellect or the mind. So therefore, to improve them, I'm improving what? Me. So this is avidya, this is ignorance. So in other words, to improve our body's minds exposes my avidya. I'm not saying now don't improve. I'm just saying to put so much importance on it, that's all my life becomes, is about improvement of body-mind. In that case, it's avidya. So this means that I don't have knowledge of param, akshara, as myself, and for that reason, I have no choice but to supplement it with adhibhutam, which is the body. So therefore I turn adhibhutam into adhi-atman, or Brahman. That's avidya. That's how the world operates. Next question. What is adhi-daivam? Question 5. Krishna defines adhi-daivam. Krishna defines this as Purusha. So adhi-daivam equals Purusha. Another name for Purusha is, new word coming, Hiranyagarbha. What does Hiranyagarbha mean? So when total consciousness, Ishvara, is associated with total mind, then we call that Hiranyagarbha, or Purusha, or Adhi-daivam. Now you're going to say, what is the total mind? So the total mind is samashti of vyashti minds. In other words, samashti sukshma sharira. And what is your mind, your individual mind? Vyashti sukshma sharira. Sukshma means subtle. So the total subtle body is Hiranyagarbha. So therefore, if we take all of the subtle bodies in this room, of every single individual in this world, and not only this world, but also other lokas, every world, known and the unknown, you put it all together, all the minds, all knowledge, then we call that total mind. Notice how nobody in this room has all knowledge. We all have individual knowledge. For example, I'm a plumber. Lloyd's a wood chopper. Someone's a helicopter driver. Someone's a cooker, okay? A cooker is not a helicopter driver. A plumber is not a cooker. So we all have individual knowledge. But when we all of this together, that becomes Hiranyagarbha. So this Hiranyagarbha slash Purusha slash Adhidaivam is Ishvara associated with total knowledge. In other words, Sarvam Jnanam. Do you now know what Sarvam Jnana means? We all in this world make up Sarvam Jnanam. If you take out just one single mind out of Sarvam Jnanam, is it still Sarvam Jnanam? Why not?
If that other single mind still exists, it can't be outside.
Yeah, we have now limited all knowledge with all knowledge except Lloyd. Right? It doesn't work like that. So this Hiranyagarbha, in brackets, you can put total mind, because that's the literal definition, is the presiding deity of every single organ, of every single individual. Your individual, take Shinyi. Her individual mind is a presiding deity of what? My organs of action, my organs of knowledge, or her organs of knowledge? Her organs of knowledge. Therefore, her mind is a presiding deity of individual organs of action. Whereas Hiranyagarbha, the Samashti, is the presiding deity of not only this organs but also everyone's organs. Just like the total minds make up Hiranyagarbha, the total organs of the jnana, indriya, also make up Hiranyagarbha, because it is the total. So again, individual mind is the presiding deity of individual organs, both of action and knowledge. And the total mind, Hiranyagarbha, is the presiding deity of all of our organs. All of them. Not one is excluded.
Samishti.
Samashti, yeah, Samashti, good. And I'll put this in summary. Hiranyagarbha, Purusha, Adhidaivam, is the presiding deity of everything and everyone in the cosmos for both the Vyashti and Samashti. Nothing is excluded. Question 6. What is Adhiyajna? Krishna says, Aham Eva. Eva means indeed. So I indeed am the Adhiyajna. Who's this I that Krishna is speaking of? Ishvara is Adhiyajna. What is Ishvara? Consciousness. What kind of consciousness? Sat Chit Ananda consciousness. Brahman. And Maya Shakti equals Ishvara. So what is Ishvara? Consciousness. And not plus. Okay, you could say plus, but plus would be an implied meaning. Because if I say plus, there's a danger of thinking that it is something other than consciousness.
So it's a manifested form of consciousness. It's a manifested form of Brahman.
Yeah, it's a manifestation of Brahman through Maya Shakti.
Yeah, through Maya.
Yeah, through Maya, because everything is consciousness. Yeah. So the power that converts consciousness into apparent form is because of Maya Shakti. Okay, now next question. What is Maya Shakti?
Maya Shakti is just the power Brahman has to be able to create.
Good, okay. Okay, there's a little bit more descriptive definition. It is to be able to create. Whole world, whole universe existing in potential equals Maya. What is Maya Shakti? The potential for the entire universe to be is Maya Shakti in potential form. Consciousness associated with the whole universe in potential form is Ishvara. Consciousness associated with Maya equals Ishvara. But Maya is the whole universe in potential form. So again, consciousness and potential, that is Maya, equals Ishvara. Or in science language, we call this consciousness and energy equals Ishvara. Because science will say energy, right? They will even go beyond matter. They'll say there's just only energy. We agree. But this energy is apara prakriti. So therefore, Ishvara is the seed of the universe, as Martin said. And this seed is that which fructifies into a result. Seed fructifies into a result, that we call Ati Yajna. Where is this Ishvara? Where do I find God? I can see what Krishna says. He says, Atra dehe deha brhatam vara. So he says, Lord resides in every human being, whether one is a sinner or a saint, of course. Because often we think, Lord is only in the saints, he's not in the sinners. This is a common Christian view of life, but that's not true. Because Lord has nothing to do with a sinner or a saint. A sinner or a saint becomes a sinner or a saint because of their own actions. And also this is called Narayanaha, that one who resides in all living beings. That's what Lord is, all living beings, including your own body, right now. And tomorrow, for all eternity.
You can't include a rock.
Including a rock, because a rock just doesn't have a sukshma sharira, so therefore it appears inert. Yeah, but it's still made out of consciousness. So therefore, there's no need to look for God in temples or special books or in special places, in the Himalayas or heaven. That's a big one, right? I'm gonna see God when I get to heaven. So I'm just gonna do lots of punyam, and I'll say hello to him one day. There's a big problem with this actually, because there's no proof that the heaven even exists. Even if it does exist, what proof does one have to be able to look for it? So the only solution is moksha, right here on earth. That's the only solution human beings have. So the question was, where do we find Ishvara? Where do we find God? The answer is, because Ishvara is the one self of all human beings, for that reason, Ishvara is found in my very own body, in my very own mind as the self, because Ishvara is a total, and I'm not excluded from the total. You're not excluded from the total. Why is Ishvara called Ati Yajnaha? Because remember what Krishna said, I am Ati Yajnaha. Remember that? Aham eva. So why is Ishvara called Ati Yajnaha? The answer is, yajna, first of all, what does it mean? Any act of worship or prayer or action, puja, anything put out into the field, any ritual, both sakama and nishkama bhakti, is yajna. There's a ritual for making money. You follow a certain protocol, you make money. There's a ritual for feeling confident. You follow that, you feel confidence. There's a ritual for attracting lots of punyam in life, lots of good luck. Follow that, I will get that.
Should that be considered to be a non-transactional intention and that ritual?
It is both transactional. Well, I mean, if you have no transaction, it cannot be a yajnaha. It has to be transactional. Okay. Because we said any action put out, any worship, when you do a worship, puja, prayer, anything, it is transactional.
Without, well, I guess what I was meaning by that, without the expectation that things are going to get better if I do this.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. The expectations, see, if you have expectations, then you're not going to have a good yajna, because I'm supposed to be focusing on the protocol to put my sincerity into it. But if I got expectations, then all of my effort is like 50-50, right? So it's not going to be a proper result. So the more expectations I have in a ritual, the less likely the ritual is going to come about. That's the irony of it. Ishvara is in the form of laws and orders in your every action. In your every action that you write, for example, writing this down, Ishvara is in there as what? Laws and orders. For example, velocity of the pen or the speed of the pen moving. Speed is determined by what? All knowledge, all power. Sarvam Jnana Sarvam Shakti. If I kick a ball, that's another yajnaha, a ritual. Then what? What takes over? Gravity, but also the strength of the leg. So Ishvara is in every action as laws and orders that we do. For example, you right now we take food and we digest. As soon as you digest, what happens? Muscles contract and send the food down. Are you doing that? No. And then what happens? Digestion. Are you doing that? How is digestion happening? Sarvam Dhyanam, Sarvam Shakti. Ishvara, in its laws and orders, is in your every action put out, but also action received or result received. Also, Ishvara is the principle that gives or outputs corresponding results from your actions. Okay? So the kind of actions I put out, I get corresponding results. If I put good actions, I get good results. Bad actions, not so pleasant results. Karma pala or karma pala data, the giver of fruits of whose actions? My actions. That is adhiyajnaha. And that's what Ishvara is. So the giver of results according to your chosen actions is adhiyajnaha. If you put out good actions, what kind of results are you getting? Positive, enjoying, worthy results. Done, and because of what? Ishvara. So that is adhiyajnaha. That's why he says, I am in all your actions, but also in all of your results that you receive. I'll summarize if you're confused. Adhiyajnaha has two meanings. First, the consciousness, paraprakriti, because of which the body-mind can perform the action. To drive here was an action. Why is that possible? Because of consciousness, paraprakriti. And the second is karma pala data, the giver of results based on your actions. What does I am adhiyajnaha mean? First, Ishvara is karma pala data, the one who gives, the one who provides, the one who supplies, the one who offers results based on person's yajna. What is yajna? Worship, rituals, prayers, both sakama and nishkama. For this reason, we cannot blame Bhagavan.
Based on your own judgment.
Yeah. So based on the actions that I put out into the field, it's exactly what I deserve. Bhagavan has nothing to do with it. He's just simply offering 5 elements to the world. So I can take the world, I can take the soil and create a grenade out of it, right? And then cause a lot of harm. Or I can take the soil and create a beautiful Shiva statue or something and inspire people to pursue spirituality. The ground was just simply offering itself as it is. But I made of it something based on what? My own actions, my own karma. So therefore, Bhagavan has nothing to do with our success or lack of it in life. And also, as I said, sometimes the person will justify, I don't deserve this. What have I done to deserve this? But as I said, we don't remember. You just don't remember your life. Therefore, you can't use this excuse. Right? So this means what? Take whatever comes as prasada buddhihi, gratitude. I don't know why I got this, but I surely got it. I don't have to understand why, I don't have to analyze why I got what I got, but the fact is, I got it. And for that reason, I do what? I thank none other than Sarvam Dhyanam, Sarvam Shakti, Ishvara. So that is how to exhaust your karma. Finally, whatever results you get is because of this adhiyajnaha. That means Ishvara is what? Deliverer of results of our actions.
So whether you like the results or whether you don't like the results, you should still thank.
You should still thank, good. Because if I don't like the results, what's going to happen? I'm going to put out an opposite action. I'm going to like show them, that I'm bigger. I'm going to do something. And then I'm going to create another corresponding result that is going to be more displeasing in the future. See, we often think of retaliating, don't we? That's our sort of like a colleague is rude. And I'm a good person. I study the Shastra. I'm like the embodiment of wisdom. Right? And the person is like rude. Like how dare he's rude towards the one who is following every single injunction. I'm going to show them. That's not following the Shastra. Following the Shastra is what? Forgiving, understanding. Like they don't know any better. They just don't have time to look at the Shastra. If they did look at the Shastra, they wouldn't be acting like this. But I cannot blame them because they're busy probably taking care of the kids, so they don't have time. So it is my job, the one who knows the Shastra, to forgive. Not to retaliate, because to retaliate means what? I'm now putting myself in the same place as that one who doesn't have any Shastric knowledge. Therefore, to follow the Shastra, you can only follow the Shastra by being an example of those injunctions in the real world. So God's laws, in one summary, deliver the exact corresponding results which reflect the types of actions that we put out on a daily basis. Do you like your day? That's because you're putting out what kind of actions yesterday? Pleasing actions based on what? Shastric injunctions. How to live in harmony with the world. Do you not like your day? Why is that? Because yesterday I've put out actions which do not follow the harmony of the whole. So therefore, this is how to literally apply this knowledge. You use your day quality to assess how well am I following this knowledge. The perishable creation is Adhibhuta, and Hiranyagarbha is Adhidaiva. In other words, is the total mind. I myself, who reside in this body, am Adhyajna. O Arjuna, the best of the embodied. Why is he calling Arjuna the best of the embodied? What is Arjuna doing?
Questioning.
Questioning, good. A mark of what? An excellent student. See, Arjuna could have left a long time ago. Just give me chapter 2, done. But Arjuna just keeps on asking more questions. And not many people do this. They just want to give me the knowledge, give me 1 class, 2 classes, I'm gone, back into the world. But what is Arjuna? No, how many more chapters do we have? 10 more chapters. That's how good of a student Arjuna is. Therefore, he deserves to be called the best of embodied. And so do you, but that only depends how well you persist with this. Okay? So this means the person is only deserving of their title based on the actions they put out on a daily basis. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkhabhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.